So we are reading At the Dark End of the Street, Black Women, Rape and Resistance, A New History of the Civil Rights Movement from Rosa Parks to the Rise of Black Power by Danielle McGuire. And our sessions it started June 3rd and they last until July 29th. They are from 6:30 to 8. So do you believe that there has been a shift in sexual violence? Are more Black men and men of color attacking more Black women and women of color than whites? You think this history of sexual violence has something to do with this violence in general?
Oh, you first. You first.
Well, I mean, honestly, before college, all of my villains have been Black, have been Black men. You know, I think that's true for anybody in a community where people look like them. I think that violence from white students that I went to school with felt very different than violence from the Black people I encountered while at home before college, but it was still violence. My attackers have been Black, not white, not sexually, you know. But like, and again, I wasn't a predominantly Black. I grew up in a predominantly Black household, Black community. Globally, country-wise, I hear more about attacks coming from men of color, Black men, than I do from about white men attacking women of color and Black women. And I don't know why. And as you can see in the book, you know, Black men advocated and they protected as best they could, considering they were also Black and could be killed for their resistance as well. And now, I don't know, I think that, like I said again, a lot of our sadness and hate has been turned inward, and we don't advocate and protect like we used to for one another. And maybe that's why, you know, people get sick of you know, Recy Taylor went through 2 trials, and her attackers still weren't indicted. And people, I think that weighs heavy on people, and they're like, well, you know, they start to believe, you know, that Black women, you know, aren't worthy of being protected, you know, or aren't really women, so it's okay. And I think that we internalize a lot more than we say. I think that is why there's been, to me, a shift in violence
Right.
So
Right. Well,
Yeah, I always experienced cognitive dissonance about, the of women. Um, and I don't believe that, rape of women is just, it's one culture. I think, I know sometimes I question if it's something pathological about men who just, it's part of their DNA. I don't know. So I do question that if it's something that's in their genetic makeup that makes them, violent.
right.
And then you have other men who have, don't have
Right.
that belief, that uh, don't behave in that sense.
Mhm.
So I know sometimes I do wonder if it's something genetically.
Mhm.
You do have to question genetics and biology and so forth.
Mhm. Yeah. Um. Well, that's interesting. Um. I don't know. I guess like you, Randy. Really, most of the stories of sexual violence that I have ever heard about in my lifetime have been about black men or boys um, raping black women or girls or boys. Um, and and I did find it shocking um, to entertain the thought that something actually happened to bring a stop, it seems like, or to slow down significantly um, white men's rape of black women. And it makes you wonder if that's true. You know, are white men still raping black women and we just don't hear about it anymore?
Or is it on a different level? We really, micro level where we can't really quantify it or identify
Right,
it. So it may have taken a different form, a different shape.
right, right. But it almost seems as if all of the activism that occurred around black women being raped, and this book goes up through the mid 70s. I don't know if you know of the case of Joanne Little. That is one case that I actually remember living through in the mid 70s. And so I don't know of any other famous cases of white men raping black women since that time. I don't want to say that there haven't been any, because I don't know, but really all what I hear about are black men raping black women, and um, Avril raised the point about genetics, and I guess I've never really thought of it as a genetic problem. And I think, you know, what concerns me about that is the way white people have tried to use genetic arguments to describe black people as subhuman and, all of that. But so I guess I'm more inclined to see it, I think, as you do, Randy, as our internalized hatred, self-hatred. So we have, all of this brutality that we experienced during the slavery years and the Reconstruction years and the Jim Crow years, and it's to a large extent as if the white man succeeded in convincing at least some segment of black men that black women are just not worthy of protection. So it's a difficult.
Yes, it's very complex because you think even before slavery, what women, experiences like.
Right.
Was there a rape culture prior to slavery?
Right. I don't know.
So, I'm sure there's empirical data that's out there, research is out there, but we haven't really addressed it or even look into it. Examine the history of rape prior to slavery.
Yeah. Well, but certainly white women experience rape even today, so it may be.
Danielle says that rape was used, as a strategy to keep people down, and we know that rape is used for power. It has little to do about attraction. It's more to do about dominance and power. And I'm not saying that black women have not been raped by white men since she finished the book, or since the major case with Joanne Little. But I think it is interesting to look at the raping of black women from white men as a power thing, especially during the Jim Crow era, and maybe look at the reasons why black men rape, which is more than likely a power thing as well for men who are often made to feel so powerless. Are not as manly. Not saying that rape makes you masculine, but rape is a power struggle, basically.
Right.
And I think it is interesting to see, or to ask, did white people win? Did they succeed in breaking us?
Right.
But I'm sure, sadly, that even before slavery, oppression of white people, that men raped women. But I think that the dynamic does change when you do include slavery and Jim Crow, Reconstruction and Depression era. So something to think about.